Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles, in my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and join their claim sales on Tuesdays for new books and Fridays for back issues. And don't forget to ask about joining their Stray Cats Club for special perks.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to be doing what is probably going to be the largest mail call unboxing that I will ever do in any of these videos. In this box are 50 raw comic books that I bought through one listing on eBay, and I am super excited about them. Now, here's a little bit of a backstory on it. I am a big X-Men fan, if you couldn't tell by the books here next to me. And I decided about a year ago that I wanted to pull together a Claremont run from X-Men 94 through 279. Now, I know there are other X-Men Claremont books out there, but I'm focused on issue 94 through 279. And I did a pretty good job pulling together this collection. I found issues 133 through 279 pretty quickly at the price I wanted to pay and in the condition that I wanted, which is actually really, really good. Like, I'm really into high grade books. But then I got a little bit stuck. Between issue 94 and 132, I was having a hard time finding about 25 books. But I was like, that's okay, Jeff. Be patient. These books have been around for about 40 years. They're not going anywhere. If you just take your time, you're going to find the books that you want in the grade that you want them at the price that you want to pay for them. It's going to be okay. Then the events of the past month or two took place, where X-Men books are seeing a crazy price increase on the market. I'm going to use these two books to give you examples of just how much the value of X-Men books have gone up. First, we have Giant Size X-Men #1 in a 9.0 off-white to white pages. I bought this book on Thanksgiving Day 2019 for $2,000 plus tax and shipping. At the end of January, this same book in a 9.0 off-white to white pages sold for $4,700. About a week later, this book in a 9.0 in white pages sold for $5,000. And then just this past week, Comic Tom, in one of his videos, listed that there's been a brand new record set for a 9.0 with a sale of $7,350. This is bonkers how quickly the price of this book is going up. Another example is this X-Men 101 in a 9.6 white pages. I bought this copy of it 2 months ago at the very end of 2020, at the end of December, for myself, for $1,275 plus tax and shipping. There have been two recent sales of this book in a 9.6 white pages for $2,300 and $2,350, and I can confirm these prices. I found a video on YouTube that tells you how you can confirm the actual sale price from a listing on eBay. I'll actually put a link to that video so that you can use it yourself. But I can confirm $2,300 and $2,350 sales for this book, 9.6 in white pages. That means that this book has seen a price increase of over $1,000 in 2 months. This is bonkers. And once I realized what was happening, I realized I can't wait anymore. I can't sit around waiting for a good price and a good condition on these books. I need to buy these books, and I need to buy them now, or I'm going to be way priced out on them. Then I saw this listing for 50 books, and although I only needed 24 or 25 of them, I was like, I'm going to buy 50 of them. Sure, I'm going to have some doubles, but I'm going to tell you what I'm telling everybody else. If you can find an X-Men book at a good deal, buy it. There's no such thing as too much X-Men at this point. If you see it at a good deal, scoop it up. And I figure I'm going to get a good deal when I buy them all as a big group like this. Now, the thing is, as we all know, condition is a big factor in price. And when you're buying off of eBay and you've got a photograph, man, it's just not the best way to judge condition. But the seller had actually gone through and attached grades to every single book, which was actually pretty great. Now, I kind of grain of salt the grades that they put on there, but it was nice that they took time to actually assign a number grade to each individual book. Now, they went all the way up to 9.8. I don't think that you can give a raw book a 9.8 designation. You can go up to about 9.2, and that's just about it, because 9.4, 9.6, 9.8 is so subjective. But I looked at their grades, and in fact, what I proceeded to do was to drop them down. If they said 9.8, I looked at 9.4 or 9.2 prices. If they said 9.2, I looked at like 8.5 or 8.0 prices. And I used Go Collect's FMV as a guide. Now I know Go Collect is for graded books. So not only did I lower the grade that that the seller put on each book, I also sometimes even lowered the price even further to be like, well, I'm going to have to pay for grading, so let me drop the price down even a little bit more. In addition, Go Collect's FMV right now on X-Men books is way too low. They have not caught up to what the market is doing. So if I use their numbers as a guide, now I know that like even if I pay this price, I'm going to be getting a really good deal on this book. And so I established a price, and I determined, that this is what I wanted to pay. But I actually ended up paying a little bit more than I had than the price I had determined. But the way I figure it, with the FMB being incorrect, with the way that I lowered the grades on everything, it wasn't so much more that I was upset about it. I was also in the mix with two other bidders that were right in the same range with me. Actually, I kind of sort of sniped this purchase a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this box, and I'm going to show you each one of these books. I'm going to give you two grades on the screen when I show it to you. The first grade is going to be in color, and it's going to be the grade that was assigned by the seller. The second grade is going to be in white. It is going to be the grade that I assigned to it. That it's going to be the grade that I think it could get if it was graded by CGC. We'll see how often they match. We'll see how different they are, and when they're different, and how different they end up being. And then at the end, we'll do a little quick assessment. We'll see, did I do a good job? Did the grader give me bogus grades, or were they pretty legitimate? And did I get a good deal or not? Oh man, I'm so excited about opening this box. Let's go ahead and dig into it right now. Okay, here's the first batch. I don't know what order they're going to be coming out in at all. We are just going to hope for the best. First, we have X-Men 127, 126, 125, 124, 123. Here's 122. 121. 120. 119. 118. 117, 116, 115, 114. This is the first time that the words "the uncanny" were there in the title. Here's 113. 112. This one looks like it may have a little bit of a smudge to it, but that's okay. And that takes us through to the first one of these. I will fast forward and dig into the next one. Okay, here comes the next batch, starting with X-Men 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101. Now this one I know for a fact is in a lower condition. Someone decided to write on this copy of X-Men 102 just a little bit. 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111. Now, it's very interesting to me that 94 and 95 didn't appear to be there. Hopefully they're in this bottom one. Let's fast forward and get through these and see if it's there. Okay, we have 128. 129. This is one of the ones that I am most excited about. If the photos looked good to me, this one is possibly in the 9.4 to 9.6 category. Yeah, I see a color breaking spine tick right there, so I'm going to say that it's not a 9.8, but I'm really hoping it's in the 9.4 to 9.6 category. Here's 130, 131, 132, 133. What a great cover, right? This book's not even particularly key, but people just love the cover. Got 134 here. 135. 136. 137. 138. This 138 I'm seeing is a British variant. It's got the 15 pence. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Oh, you know what? I think it was labeled pence, and I didn't know what pence meant on the thing. It's because it's the British one. This is, of course, 139. 140. 141. Iconic, right? 142. Matching newsstand. 143. 95. And then finally, X-Men 94. Oh man. Now they put this as a lower grade. We'll see what I end up giving it. You already know. As with all of these books, you now know what grade the seller gave it, and you know, in addition, what grade I gave it. So I personally now am going to stop this video, and I am going to grade all of these and then make the final part. And we will assess and we will see, did I do good or did I do bad? Let's find out. Okay, it has now been several days since I recorded the previous part of this video that you just watched. It took me the rest of the day after doing the unboxing to go through and grade all of these books. It took a long time. And as you have already seen by the fact that I put the seller's grades in color and my grades in white, our grades did not match up. There were about 4 books, I think, where my grade was higher than theirs. One where I was just like, what were they thinking in the first place? There must have been some kind of error there. But for the vast majority of these books, my grade was lower, sometimes significantly lower than the one listed by the seller. And I figured out pretty quickly why that was. The seller did not take the books out of their bag and board. They basically looked at a book in its bag and board, went, this looks like a 6.0, put it aside. Next one. This looks like a 9.8, put it aside. I took them out of their bags and boards. And the reason I know that they didn't take them out of the bags and boards is because there was one book that I mentioned had stickers on the back that were like price tags. When I popped those stickers off, they were never going to stick back ever again. Those have been on there for a long time. They were not going to reseal. So I know for a fact that book wasn't open, and there were other indicators that none of the other books were open. So in typical eBay fashion, I gambled a little bit on the seller's grades, trusting that they did their due diligence, and they didn't. I'm thinking about contacting them and telling them that they did a bad job and they need to do better in the future, and giving them neutral feedback, seeing what kind of response I get from them. But I haven't quite decided yet what I'm going to do. Now, I never mentioned to you what I paid for this collection because I was going to wait for this moment to assess it up against the value that I attributed to the collection after grading them myself. So here it goes. I paid for this collection $5,001.01 on eBay, plus tax, which in my area is steep. So I paid a total of $5,513.61. That's a lot of money, but we'll see how that pays out. Going through and taking my grades, and taking, even if their grade was lower than mine, I used their grade to assign a value to each book using Go Collect's numbers, because that's what I used in the first place when I was first making my first determination on how high I'd be willing to bid on these. The value of this collection is $4,919. So it's just under $100 less than what I paid for my bid, and $600, a little over $600 less than my final cost. Did I do bad? No. Did I do good? No. I think I did okay. I think Go Collect's numbers are low right now for X-Men books. X-Men prices are increasing so quickly. In fact, in the past few days, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but there's reports I've seen on Facebook groups of somebody saying that there was an eBay sale of a 9.0 copy of Giant Size X-Men that sold for $10,549. Now, this was a 9.0 with white pages, and mine is off-white pages, so take off, I don't know, $200, $300. That's still over $10,000 for a book that I paid $2,000 for 15, 16 months ago. So I think that Go Collect's values are actually low. I think they can be increased by at least 25%, possibly even 50% or more for some books. If you factor that in, I did really well on this collection. But if you just kind of look at a one-to-one numbers based off of what Go Collect currently is listing for these books and what I paid, I did okay. I would have liked to have done better. I would have liked for the seller to have graded a little bit more accurately. But once again, that's the risk you take when you're buying off of eBay, especially when you're buying 50 books all at once on eBay and you're not just looking at 12 photos of one book. But quickly, I want to go over some things about specific books in this collection. The most valuable book in the collection is really no surprise. It's X-Men number 94. Even in this condition, they put it at a 7.5. I don't think so. They put it at a 7.5. I put it at a 5.0. At a 5.0, it's a $325 book. That's pretty good. So I'm okay with that. I always wanted a nicer copy of this than the one I have, but the fact of the matter is the rate at which the prices of that book and all of these books are increasing. I mean, I'd be priced out of these pretty soon, so I'm kind of glad I got them when I did. In addition, we have X-Men number 101 right here that they had at a 6.0. I have it at a 4.5. But even at a 4.5 on Go Collect, this is still a $260 book. And frankly, like I said, I think that this is probably closer to a $400 book once you factor in how quickly the price of these books is increasing. And finally, the most valuable book is, once again, no surprise, this X-Men number 129 that they had at a 9.6. I actually had it at what did I have it at? A 9.2. And which at a 9.2 it would go for $220. Now I tend to grade pretty strictly, so I'm hoping that I am pleasantly surprised with whatever final grades I might get for these books. Likely they're going to CGC to get graded because of their value. Now, part of the reason I want to mention is part of the discrepancy in the grades between the seller's grades and my grades. Because they didn't take them out of the bags and boards, they didn't see things like little missing pieces or little tears and stuff like that hurt grades a lot, and therefore it hurt my value a lot. And that's what I wish that they had done better diligence when it came to assigning grades to these books. They also gave a lot of them 9.8s, which I ignored out the gate. There was one book that might be a 9.8 in the group, but the rest of them had at least a small color breaking spine tick, which for me takes it immediately out of the 9.8 category. So they shouldn't be attributing 9.8s to books that have basically any flaws. So they did a bad job. But there were two books that, aside from value, aside from the collection, showed me interesting things about comic books in general. Like I said, I went through and I analyzed each one of these books pretty carefully. And first I looked at this book, X-Men 97. And when I opened it up, I looked at it and I saw, when I looked at the centerfold, there were 4 staples in it. And immediately I thought, shenanigans. This book has been restored. This book had a detached cover, and somebody restapled the cover onto it. But then I started to look more into it, and I saw that there was only one set of staples on the outside and only one set of staple holes. And I started to wonder, how does that happen? If somebody was reattaching a cover, even if it was a cover from a different book, you would think that the staples were also like separated from each other, as you can see in the photos that I'm showing. You would think that they would line up more closely if they were, a reattached cover, and there'd be extra holes and stuff like that. So I was very curious about what was going on here. So I went ahead and I took advantage of the fact that I have Matt Nelson, primary grader at CGC. I have his email address, so I emailed him and I asked him, hey, what's up with this? And he was gracious enough to respond. Matt Nelson, if you're seeing this video, and for everybody else out there, Matt Nelson is awesome. I really, really appreciate Matt Nelson. He's a great guy over at CGC. He responded and he said, this is called a remainder copy, which means the book made it through production without a cover, but was stapled. These copies would have a cover manually stapled to them after the fact, which explains why there's 2 sets of staples, but only one set goes through the cover. Often the cover is crooked or short long on the sides because it wasn't initially cut flush with the interior. So it's kind of sort of an error variant. Whether or not that gives this book more value remains to be seen for me. I had never heard of this, and I've talked to comic book collectors as well who had never heard of this. But it started to make sense to me once I started to think of it in context of this book. This book is X-Men 103, and it has a very unique feature, a feature that I have basically never seen in any book in my collection, and I have only ever seen in one other book in my life. And that is, this book has a double cover. That is amazing to me. And it explains, by the way, why that other book was produced without a cover. If a book is produced with a double cover, that means whatever books were meant to be produced at the end of that line got produced without a cover, because that cover that was supposed to go to those pages went to a double cover like this. And it made sense why that one book had 4 staples. Well, this book is a double cover. And this is the gem of the entire collection. This book is likely to be more valuable than the X-Men 94 even, potentially. Now, when I was listing this book, I put a little asterisk. I said more about it later. This is what we're talking about it now. CGC grades double covers in a very interesting way. They grade both covers, but the one that goes on the sticker on the label is the better of the two covers, or the final grade. Now, if I looked at the exterior cover of this book, I would probably give it a 9.2, maybe a 9.4 if the grader was feeling very generous. The interior cover, however, does not have the flaws that the exterior cover has, and I think is very likely to come back at a 9.6, possibly a 9.8. If this book comes back even at a 9.6, but especially at a 9.8 as a double cover, this could be particularly valuable. I did some research on some Facebook groups, and people tend to feel that you can get anywhere from 50% to 100% increase in value based off of the fact that it is a double cover. So this was really exciting. Once again, proof that they were not looking at their books before they sent them to me, that they were just looking at them in the bag and board and not opening them up and investigating them the way that I did. But this was a nice little treat that came with this collection and took a lot of the sting out of the fact that I maybe slightly overpaid for this book, for this collection, excuse me. So we're going to see what happens. This is going to go to CGC. We're going to see what kind of grade it gets. Hopefully it'll make up for a lot of the financial loss in this collection. But once again, you know, I do believe those Go Collect numbers were a little bit conservative. My grading was conservative. So I'm hoping that all in all, I got a collection that was equal in value to what I paid for it, if not greater in value. And the way that these X-Men books are increasing in value, I have to think that even if I overpaid today, tomorrow, I probably got a good deal, and the day after that, I'm probably in the money, and then the day after that, who knows what's to come for X-Men books these days. Thank you so much for sitting through this video and watching me unbox and talk about my collection of 50 X-Men books from issue 94 through 143. I hope it was educational for you, I hope it was entertaining for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. I really appreciate likes. They really encourage me to continue to make these types of content. If this is the first one of my videos that you've ever seen, welcome. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially all the way to the end. If you like this video, I highly recommend that you go ahead and hit the subscribe guy right here, and make sure you hit that notification bell, because I put out random videos from time to time and you don't want to miss them. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.